Have you ever wondered about vinyl wear and what causes it? In this video, we're going to break it down into the nanometer level, and we're going to offer preservation best practices from a scientific viewpoint. This episode is brought to you by AV Room Service, specializing in acoustic design services and products to optimize the performance of your room and equipment experience. Visit us at avroomservice.com or book a call to speak with me to see how I can help you get the most out of your room and gear. AV Room Service, the science of perfected sound. J.R. Boisclair of Wally Tools and Charles Kirmuss of Kirmuss Audio and I love talking about analog playback and turntables, vinyl playback. It's a technology that's very old and very crude and yet very durable and still considered by many to be the best that is available today. Records that were made 70 years ago can be played today with equipment and extract more information out of it than before. And we're still learning how to get even more information out of them. It is truly an amazing, wonderful medium. I recently posed a question to both JR and Charles via email. My question for them was, what are the causes of record wear? In your experience, can we list them in order as they apply to the typical consumer and to the audiophile? And can we also apply it to those who purchase used vinyl? Their response was so good, I had to share. So JR was the first to chime in, and he said, Tonearms are one of the biggest villains for groove wear. More specifically, the lack of monitoring and maintenance of the Tonearm's three forces. He's referring to, when he talks about the three forces, the vertical tracking force of the stylus writing in the groove, the lateral horizontal forces native to the Tonearm, and the static frictional forces of the Tonearm. Then he further says, I don't believe worn styli cause groove wear, though when a fine line stylus wears, it eventually becomes a conical in contact profile, and a conical stylus is more likely to miss track, and this causes the user to screw up Tonearm forces. As a stylus wears, its minor radius increases, which decreases the angle of attack of the stylus on a modulated groove. Further, stylus wear increases the surface contact area of the stylus contact with the groove wall, which decreases any deformation the groove wall experiences as the stylus courses by. These are the two main reasons I do not believe a worn-out stylus increases the risk of groove wear. One could make the hypothetical argument that as the minor radius increases, pinch effect increases. Now, pinch effect is in effect, it's a distortion caused when the side-to-side movements of the stylus with high frequency modulations force the groove walls inward and to the point of contact of the stylus. This pinching action causes the stylus to move slightly vertically with each pinch, resulting in high frequency loss and distortion. JR says, and the pinch effect could have some groove wall wearing characteristics attributed to it, but I don't believe such studies have ever been done. Lack of rigidity in the system and poor maintenance of Tonearm forces, those are the main culprits in my opinion. But I have never seen anything constituting proof, including Shure Brothers research, and certainly not Shure's customer advisory, which is bereft of anything meriting serious consideration. It may exist, but I have not seen it. And then Charles came in with a very long email. Charles says, before I go down the rabbit hole with this one, each vinyl factory is unique to the materials used in making the biscuit. The pressing plant then squishes out and forms the record. with their own mixes, their own formulas, affecting the coefficient of friction with the release agent, oil, before the needle fully makes contact with the groove itself. And while stampers have to meet certain requirements as to groove size, etc., no such standardization exists for the materials making the biscuit. The amount coming off of the record as a release agent, and as the pressing process is basically the same for most pressers, except for the two types of trimming in and out of the press, the mix matters greatly in the durability of the record. Black is the carbon in clear PVC. It is the lubricant that maintains the coefficient of friction between the needle and the groove. Charles goes on, time in the press is an issue as we see more release agent surface from the record the longer it's in the press. Added, we have other contaminants that the needle has to deal with. Coatings, air or vacuum dried on the record by cleaning processes, the film from outgassing of the plasticizer, and the PVC sleeve, as well as the release agent itself. So I am focusing on the needle to get a hold of the question at hand. So look at a new pressing, fresh from the press, and the PVC mix used has an effect. And in the same breath, this film, in fact, is a protective element, but degrading to the sound, as I've proven. And if you look at Kirmuss Audio's website, you'll see a lot of scientific proof. In any study, he continues, we would have to determine a common denominator and expect where all manufacturers are on the same level using the same mix, which they are not, and expect where only quality control approved records leave the plant, another big question mark. Now, he continues, new PVC versus recycled or now PET plastics see issues arise. I think needed in some instances from JR as to the longevity of a stylus, and has he seen any degradation in the same stylus over time, and if so, what is the effect? More on this below as this is directly proportional to record wear, among other issues such as alignment, etc. Charles continues, longevity also related to record groove contact. The increased temperature caused by the aforementioned films on the record, so as to answer, question mark, question mark, question mark. Another issue, also, the type of cleaning solution used becomes another factor that could prematurely destroy plastic with needle contact. Many moving targets. Review. The stylus tip, when new, touches the groove walls only at 2 points. And where we note that the entire weight of the stylus cartridge assembly and tonearm, which form an integral part of the pickup, is concentrated at these points. Talked about the coefficient of friction of the needle with the black lubricant in the PVC record, noted by others where at the point of contact in looking at archives of patents, etc., measured pressures of upwards of 26 tons per square inch by the needle on the groove. So I read, Charles says. To note, the needle wears out faster than the record. As presented by RCA, the record grooves, while subject to this pressure, see the area is touched only for a fraction of a second. Note, like the needle that makes contact with the record for the duration of its travel across the record. The stylus thus travels well over 1/2 mile of surface each time a 12-inch record is played. That's just over a 1/4 of a mile per side. Yet the stylus material degrades faster over that of a record's groove, as the stylus's material is harder than the PVC or polyvinyl material that makes up the record groove. Quite logical to me. He continues, yes, the optical stylus microscope in every audio store, now a relic. To remember, the stylus tip makes contact with the groove at 2 small points. The stylus wears out at these points over time, creating what needle folks call flats. Working at Bill Layton Audio in Montreal, we had our clients come in for a yearly Stylus inspection using a microscope. I remember those days. To prevent excessive record wear, one needs to start logically to appreciate and start a review of the needle itself. Interesting, do we change needles? I see folks change cartridges, more of an upgrade rather than a needle change. So let us focus on the needle first. If a needle was in perfect condition, cleaned, record maintained, needle and cartridge adjusted, we would see little wear of the record. So I read. If we now have a used work needle, we certainly can increase record wear and in the same token see distortion added and reduced tonal range. In looking at needles, we also see wear on one side more than the other due to side thrust caused as we travel the groove, even with the proper setting of anti-skating force. So I am alluding to many variables in analyzing this. My testing, Charles says, so far was to use a lacquer and play it with a new cartridge. Cleaning the needle after every play, using a 10 micron brush cleaning the groove, and have so far played the record 73 plays. This is over 8 or so months, lots of work involved. With the Kirmuss VHX 7000 2D 3D imager, no change to record groove size, no measurable degradation of spectrum or signal over noise floor. Realistically, I need to do the test with a pressed new record. I intend to do so, but many variables to the record itself and its provenance. So, my first take is that indeed, before looking at the record itself, needle care is needed and constant monitoring as we did back in the 60s and 70s. The stylus can become and look like under a microscope a chisel. When it travels, the worse the stylus gets, the more it will gouge minute particles from the groove at the crest point. Other issues such as films, dust, etc. all create more issues for the needle first and thereafter the record. Indeed, the coating left on the record by air or vacuum drying systems, the outgassing of the plasticizer in the PVC while the record is in its sleeve, the PVC sleeve itself, then the release agents from the pressing plants all have impacts on the stylus. Sometimes these coatings protected the record. So next to JR's Wally tools, we also need to monitor stylus tracking force, weight, and follow the guidelines of the manufacturers. And bubble level the turntable, another variable, detrimental to both stylus and record. Note that Wally Tools is going to be introducing a new product called Wally Analytics that will, among other things, allow customers to monitor the wear of their stylus. Back to Charles. The groove is a three-dimensional animal, and the stylus makes contact with the same. A worn stylus tip will no longer fit into the engraved depression since the flat of the stylus tip becomes wider over use and time, over the opening of the depression in the record. This said, and where sound is affected, the resiliency of the record's material sees a worn stylus making only marginal contact by the lateral pressure. So, the exact material is not heard, and the sound degradation occurs, but first and foremost when the needle itself, not cause of the record, if one maintains the needle and checks the alignment periodically. Needle distortion affects first the high-pitched sounds at the inside grooves towards the center of the record. Better needles discover issues faster than middle-of-the-road or bargain needle cartridge combinations. Quite understandable. So in the record, a moving target, using a worn stylus makes contact with the groove walls may, with heat as well as by mechanical means, distort the record's groove walls over time, accelerating the degradation beyond their elastic limit. now damaging the record. In my estimation, this is Charles, I would focus on the needle over the record first, as it is the needle that is subject to constant wear, as mentioned previously. This need for proper tracking is related directly also to compliance, and this is where we start to see excessive record wear, and therefore also a negative impact on sound. From my Shure microscope manual, quote, "The average flat on a worn diamond spherical tip measured 0.00145 inches. Even this amount of wear results in distortion, increased noise, and excessive record wear. To obtain a flat of 0.00075 inches required 140 hours of use. To obtain a flat of 0.001 inches required 300 hours of use. To obtain a flat of 0.00125 inches required 700 hours of use. To obtain a flat of 0.0015 inches required 1,500 hours of average use. This degree of wear resulted in reduced tonal response, high noise level, greatly increased distortion, and a considerable amount of record wear," close quote from Shure. From the Library of Congress, quote, "Typical diamond stylus life of a Shure V15 Mark V stylus is 500 to 1,000 hours playing time. The wear depends on many factors, including the tracking force, the anti-skating setting, the cleanliness of the record groove, etc. Using a specially designed microscope is the only scientific way to determine stylus wear," close quote. If we look at playing records for 3 hours every day, the playing time would be 630 hours. In this case, a new stylus would be a good idea to replace it just to be safe. The attached document here that was with the Shure microscope used for needle inspection estimated that where the corresponding record with needle tone arm maintenance should be seeing 20,000 play cycles. Charles's take? Where each play of a vinyl record leads to gradual degradation may or may not be a myth as when a record is cared for correctly, removing all films, etc., then handled correctly and played back in a properly calibrated turntable ensemble that is also level, cartridge aligned, and meeting proper with adjustments, with always a needle that has been cared for and cleaned prior to every play, and where the record also sees a 10 micron peristatic felt brush used before every play to remove particles within the groove, a vinyl record should last for hundreds, if not thousands, of plays. In my test, I have not seen or measured any change yet as described above. The materials used for the record need also to be studied. Charles continues, "Never played vinyl. Measured here 0.9 microns of removed release agent on a new record, 1.3 microns on a vintage record pressed in 1974 by RCA, and have more removed from a Deutsche Grammophon pressing 1964, where we had film on the record from both the outgassing PVC of the record and PVC of the sleeve they used. Herringbone discoloration and on the Deutsche Grammophon record was removed. So before examining record grooves below the contaminant layers, I refer to the removal first of the needle and its care. No one has measured any groove affectation as the needle touches the record in one spot momentarily, while the needle is making longer contact throughout the entire record for a very long distance. I have measured an increase in temperature of the contact point in colored records all over all black with the equipment that I have here. And by the way, I understand there's a new Taylor Swift album that has gold-colored vinyl and gold glitter in it. Probably a very noisy and risky album to play. I would suggest not playing that, maybe just as a memento. Okay, so my thoughts on all of this at this point regarding vinyl wear. Studies need to be made. Studies that would be very time consuming and likely offer a bit more information than we already have. Certainly different vinyl formulas affect the results of noise and wear. Studies also need to be made regarding the cleanliness of the pressing plants and the effects on vinyl quality. From what I've witnessed, there's a lot of room for improvement in these areas. But at this point in time, it seems that, number one, dirt is likely the biggest culprit in vinyl wear. Air particles, dust, oils, etc. not only get in the way of the music, but can also cause damage to the groove, as they are obstacles the stylus must plow through, drag, and or run over or around. These are contaminants that can be picked up at A, during the electroplating stage, B, during the pressing stage, including the press release agents, C, outgassing from plastic record sleeves and or dust from paper sleeves, D, record cleaning agents, E, most certainly from the playback environment, smoke, dust, finger oils, etc., F, dirty stylus, and number 2, poor arm and cartridge setup. This and dirt are the 2 primary culprits. And then 3, vinyl formulations. Need more study on that. So a couple of takeaways. It seems that stylus wear has a less than expected effect on vinyl wear. And also vinyl wear due to temperature buildup from repeated consecutive plays causing vinyl deformation is not a thing. In conclusion, the best way to get the most out of your vinyl is to properly clean and handle your records and stylus, and to set up the Tonearm cartridge arm assembly optimally. It just so happens that JR and Charles offer the best products in the world for both of these needs. Please visit their websites in the links below. And let me know your thoughts on the topic by commenting below. Watch for a series on vinyl playback technology on this YouTube channel. Subscribe and click the bell to get notified of new videos. Thanks. Thank you so much for watching this episode. And if you would like to see more, click here or here. And don't forget to go to avroomservice.com to see how we can help you make the most of your listening experience.